Oi, oi, all right, how's it going? I'm Grant, your you. This is the Doodle Review coming through with a new album to give a spin, chat some fraff about, and then assign an arbitrary and pointless score to. Today it's the turn of Tame Impala. Going to get into Deadbeat. As always, would like to remind you guys that if you do enjoy my reviews, I cover a much wider span of bands, albums, and genres in my weekly newsletter, and that is slowly building some momentum. A few of you guys have subscribed over there now. Hit the link in the description if you fancy it. The newsletter comes out every week, and you can just read my thoughts and get the ratings on other new albums that have come out this year. So yeah, check it out. And I'm also going to be doing a few more like shorts and stuff like that as well. So keep an eye on that. But without further ado, let's get into it. After repeatedly reassuring fans that his latest album, like it wouldn't take nearly as long to arrive as his previous records did, Deadbeat, the fifth album from Kevin Parker's Tame Impala, is finally here. And while it did, yes, in fact, take the now customary 5 years to drop, Deadbeat has not disappointed in terms of its heft, breadth, and ability to spark debate among both music fans and Tame Impala stands alike. We will get into my thoughts on the record, but I'm keen first to acknowledge just how cool it is that an album won without controversy or rage bait marketing, an album without endless streams of guest appearances and spotlight dancing can prompt as much discussion and passion as a new Tame Impala album does, as it has in this case. Kevin Parker has really done a great job of building the reputation and lore of Tame Impala almost entirely around just the music. And for the last 10 years now, he's been able to drop these like hour-long projects, of which Deadbeat is the latest, that get people to really dive in and immerse themselves from start to finish. And in preparing for this review, I took some time to go watch a few interviews with Parker and thought it was interesting. I think in his Zane Lowe one that he acknowledged just how long it generally takes for one of his records to hit. I think he estimates it himself as being something like 2 years from release for fans and the public to generally get and settle on the style that he's chosen. And from some artists saying that might seem a bit pretentious or defensive, but in the case of Tame Impala, I think it's pretty spot on. Reflecting on my own impressions of each new release, there's definitely a period of acclimatization, not counting those early psych rock records, which hit almost instantly for me, being kind of well within my wheelhouse. I think it was about 3 to 6 months before I fully clicked with Currents, an album I now believe is the project's defining classic. And it was probably about 12 to 18 months before the Slow Rush really grew on me. And despite having grown on me, the Slow Rush still stands out as one of the weaker entries in the Tame Impala canon. It's still good. I just feel it's more effective as an album than almost any of its songs are on their own. And that marks a difference from the rest of the discography. Say, like Currents, where, yeah, it works as an album, obviously, but you could come back to any individual song at random and just get that instant hit. And if I had to sum up my feelings on Deadbeat quickly, I'd probably say something similar. As far as negativity goes, though, that's almost all the bad things I've got to say about the record. I don't believe Deadbeat is anywhere near the travesty some people claim it to be, nor is it some flawless era-defining classic. I think it's pretty good, and hopefully with a bit more time under its belt, as with the last few records, that pretty good will grow to fucking great or, even better. After all, I actually like to enjoy music, particularly from the artists I admire. So I want to get to like this more. On first listen, the thing that struck me about Deadbeat was, of course, the techno and club influences. I hadn't actually listened to any of the singles prior to the release, so I had no knowledge of Endless Summer, which was all, a pleasant surprise. The surprise, though, was the pleasant part of that statement because I really enjoyed all of the club centric tracks straight out the gate, but wasn't really surprised to hear them. I think to me, the signs that this would be a direction Parker would follow were all there on the Slow Rush, with various nods to Balearic beats and acid house scattered throughout that record. Aside from the occasional breaks of 4/4 kick that just go on for too long for an album track, Not My World, Ethereal Connection, Afterthought, and End of Summer the fully techno cuts on this record, these all resonated with me early on. It was the more classic Tame Impala tracks that left me cold, to the point where I found myself kind of wondering, like, would I actually have been more interested in a full techno record from Parker? And ultimately, as easy as it is to like pontificate in a slightly contrarian manner, like, oh, I actually didn't think he went far enough. Being realistic, I probably would have been disappointed to wait 5 years to get a record of nothing but techno. Still, props to Kevin for dropping some tracks in that style good enough to consider it as an option. Turning our attention to the more standard Tame Impala cuts here, I have to say I've been on a bit of a journey with them. Initially, I'll say it was, yeah, I was totally underwhelmed. The first few listens to tracks like My Old Ways, No Reply, and Dracula just felt like hangovers from the Dua Lipa album that Parker produced. An LP I didn't dislike, just one where the production seemed to exceed its songcraft. I enjoyed all of the 70s disco pop references and analog textures of Radical Optimism. It just seemed to lack any truly timeless hooks or songwriting that sound, I think, deserved. I felt a little bit like that with those tunes on Deadbeat. Add to that the kind of silliness of Dracula, the cringe lyrics, and the no shit, the actual synth chimes from Enya's Sail Away on Piece of Heaven. The record started out feeling like a bit of a dud, but then, just like the journey I went through with the last few Tame Impala records, certain dominoes started to fall. The first was a moment on See You on Monday. There's a moment in the middle there where Parker's falsetto on the You're Lost part hits like Elton John's Rocket Man. When my brain made that connection, I just listen out for it every time. And I really started to appreciate See You as the kind of emotional heart of the record. It's a track where the production, the chord progression, and the sentiment kind of all just line up perfectly. That was my way in. Next, it was the Eastern European, almost klezmer flavored riffs of Loser and Obsolete. And strangely, for the last few months, there's been a dude that keeps cropping up on my TikTok feed. I think his handle is Maramaro1337. And he drops these riffs he describes as Poland in 1989. And until that point, I wasn't really aware of this whole aesthetic. But shortly after those videos tuned my ear to it, I started hearing it in lots of different places. You hear it in The Voids, for instance, that Fat Dog record from last year. And now this Tame Impala LP, all very much tapping into that style. And anyway, while these tracks initially felt like Parker, I guess, giving the guitar a sympathy vote on this album, I've come to the warm to the songs quite a lot. Not only am I slowly falling down this Eastern European rabbit hole anyway, but I kind of appreciate the style as this interesting bridge between Parker's psych rock roots and techno ambitions. Eventually, the hooks of My Old Ways and Dracula start have started to gain some traction, and even Piece of Heaven, despite those goddamn Enya chimes, I think I've fallen for the track. So where have I ended up? Well, I started underwhelmed, thinking like, oh well, if anything, there's a good techno EP in here somewhere. Eventually, that gave way to a sense of it being just mid with maybe some room to grow. But now at this point, I think I like it. Does anything here hold a candle to a song on Currents? No, I don't think so. Does it flow as an album experience as well as Currents did, or even the Slow Rush did, for that matter? No, I don't think so. But I do find the songs here a bit more dynamic and interesting than anything off Slow Rush. And in terms of my enjoyment, these tracks have traveled a wide distance with me in a very short time already. That kind of leads me to think that my opinion might rise even higher over the years to come, which I think is a pretty good sign of great work from a great artist. Right now, this record is just banging on the door of a 7 out of 10, which is the kind of zone for me of, artistic notability, highly enjoyable, meets very replayable. I'd say it's a 6.9 right now, but come back in a year and it could easily climb. So yeah, that's kind of what I think. Not that there's no need for the hyperbole over this album. It is not the raging disappointment that some people make it out to be, and maybe it will be a defining classic. Maybe it will get there. For me, it's not quite yet, but like I said, it's already kind of gone up in my estimations just in the couple of weeks that it's been out. So let's see what comes. What did you think about it? I'm really keen to hear from you. There's been loads of people that have commented on my short video where I did like a ranking. Obviously, lots of people a little bit stung that I still consider Slow Rush as like a, I think I put it as a B record, and I think I stand by that. Where would I put Deadbeat at this point in time? Probably in the album ranking category, maybe it would be on par with that, but we'll have to maybe do a revisit of it at some point and get an official ranking there. But yeah, tell me what you think. Put your comments down below. Sign up to that newsletter. It's in the links in the description. We'd love to see you over there. Join the few of you that are there now, the community that we're building. And yeah, other than that, it's obviously time to knock it on the head. I'm rambling a bit now. Take care, mate. My day you go. Cheers. Bye.